First, I would like to acknowledge the obvious. The ideological rift between the left and the right has never been wider. In the past, we could discuss over the best ways to achieve prosperity or the most effective route to protect freedoms. Today, we see a much more fundamental divide, one that calls into question not only policy preference, but our shared values. The concept of truth and even our vision for the future of civilization is called into question. On the one hand, we have the left, which often champions ideas of equality, social justice, and state intervention. Many on the left view the state as a tool to resetify systemic inequalities, redistribute wealth, and ensure that no one is left behind the march of progress. To the left, the state has an obligation to intervene in every aspect of the life from healthcare to education to protect the most vulnerable members of society from the various, ills of civilized society. On the other hand, we have the right, which advocates for limited government, personal responsibility, and the free market, the greatest engines of prosperity and individual freedoms. The right holds the personal liberty as the foundation of a just society, and that the government role should be minimal, providing the framework for law and order rather than dictating how individuals live their lives. On the surface, these are ideological differences of vision, of value, of methods. And while such differences are inherent in healthy democracy, we are witnessing a process of escalation, a rapid and aggressive polarization of society, and this, my friend, is being driven not just by the passionate beliefs of ordinary people, but a convergence of interests among political elites who stand to gain from the divide. We must ask ourselves, is this current chaos truly the product of ideological conflict, or is it part of carefully created design? To answer this, we must recognize the role of the elites in modern society. Elites are not just the political leaders we elect to office, they are also the trench coats, the media moguls, the multinational CEOs, and the global financial powerhouses who wield influence in ways that are invisible to the average citizen. These elites control vast amounts of wealth, information, and resources, and they know how to use these tools to shape public discourse. But what is these elites? Be they left or are they right? Do they benefit from the divide or don't they? And it's especially hard in a fractured society. The history shows that when a populace is deeply divided, it becomes easier to manipulate. It is such an environment, it is easier to distract the people from the real causes of their suffering and redirect their anger and frustration toward political opponents. And this strategy, my friends, is being played out in real time. Consider the media one of the most powerful forces shaping public opinion today. We live in a world where news outlets are increasingly polarized, with one side catering to the left and the other catering to the right. Each outlet reinforces the narrative of its audience, stoking. I'm sorry, one second. It's stoking fires of anger and fear. Left wing media highlights and perceived moral failings to the right, while right wing exposes the hypocrisies and dangers of the left. The public, in turn, grows more entrenched in the ideological positions, creating the environment where dialogue is not possible. These divisions play directly into the hands of elites. The more divided we are, the less likely we are to come together and demand accountability. The more fractured our society, our systems, and the challenge we face today is it's incomprehensible. When we are fighting each other, we are not paying attention to those who are truly consolidating power and wealth at the top. And we all know that's the elites. But there is more than that distraction. This escalating division serves a much darker purpose, the erosion of trust. And just just a few days ago on September 10th, we lost Charlie Kirk to a crazed gunman who decided to take someone's life because they wanted to take a part in their free speech and invite the people they most desperately had arguments with or disagreements with, would invite to the front of the line to have a civil dialogue, to get to see who could persuade one another, if not just to agree to disagree. And some idiot thought it was okay to just kill somebody because of their beliefs. You see, the key to understanding what's happening today lies in an old political strategy: divide and conquer. By stoking fear, hatred, and division, the elites can create a society where their power remains unchallenged. They can polarize the population to such an extent that it becomes impossible for any meaningful opposition to emerge. Political debates become shouting matches. Compromise is impossible. As a result, those at the top, whether they be politicians, business leaders, and media moguls, remain unaccountable. And that's exactly what we're dealing with today. They want us at each other's throats. That way, something like Charlie Kirk being assassinated, then the higher ups, the government, they will put in draconian laws that'll strip our freedoms and make us more vulnerable to totalitarianism. Excuse me. The elites are not only benefiting from the division, they are actively creating it. The constant amplification of culture wars and the vilification of the other side, the encouragement of tribalism. Democrats on this side, Republicans on this side, and the elites are standing back watching us eat each other's faces off. When people are focused on cultural flashpoints, they are less likely to ask hard questions about the true nature of the problem they face. They are less likely to ask why there wages a stagnant feud between one another, why housing is becoming unfavorable, on why their children's education system is failing, etc., etc. These are the real issues that threaten the people, but when divided into ideological camps, the public is far less likely to unite against the focus of or to perpetuate problems. Just a few thoughts on how possibly we could repair the rift and restore a sense of unity. We must recognize that the left and the right are not the real enemy. The true enemy is the system that thrives on division, that benefits from a fractured society, i.e., the government. But between the people and those who seek to control them, the real challenge is to reclaim the conversation and demand that the elites who profit from our division are held accountable. Secondly, we must return to the values that once united us: values mutual respect, empathy, and shared commitment to the common good. We must rediscover the power of compromise, the ability to listen to one another even when we disagree, and the understanding that democracy is not about defeating our enemies, but about finding solutions that serve the purpose, or that serve the people. Finally, we must demand more of our leaders, not just politically, but in the media, in business, and in academia. We must create spaces where honest, respectful dialogue can take place and where the forces of a division are called out for what they are. This is not about left or right, it's about the preservation of the values that made the West great: freedom, democracy, and commitment to justice for all. Now, honestly, the last few weeks it's been a scary time for everybody. Um, I can't think of a time where it's been just more crazy and dangerous and scary, whatever you want to call it. But this is where they want us. They want us all to be scared. They want us all to be fighting. That way they can come down and lay their draconian laws on all of us. The polarization between the left and the right is not just a clash of ideas, it's a calculated strategy designed to weaken the West from within. The elites who benefit from the division seek to consolidate power, control, and wealth, while the rest of us are left to fight among ourselves. But it doesn't have to be this way. And that's another thing I want to bring up. How we see where the left is getting in bed with the Islamists, and how the Palestinians, the marches that we see throughout the world, and the Islamists, mainly I would say in UK, I've seen some videos where they're coming together and they think they're a team, and then once one side gets to where they want to be, the other people that they think they're working with actually want them dead as well. And then where does that go for or how is that good for anybody? There's a lot of uneducated people, myself included, and I just wanted to share my opinions about it. I think it's a scary time in this world, and I think there's a lot to be learned and a lot to look for, but I don't think it's the people that are at each other's throats. Well, I mean, obviously we are at each other's throats, but it's not us that need to fight each other. We need to stay strong. We need to unite, and we need to go for the people at the top, the ones that are trying to divide us and to destroy the West. Now, there's people like Ilhan Omar and Cori Bush and Jasmine Crockett and all these people who wanted to talk crap about the United States and how it's so bad and how they're the victim of this or that or whatever, but yet they love living here. They won't move somewhere else. So you can really see the hypocrisy in, what they're dealing with, or what they say is so bad, but yet they won't leave. Ilhan Omar, for instance, she married her brother and brought him over, and supposedly it was her husband. I don't know how true that story is, but that's what I heard, and it's so bad here, but they want to live here. And then we got the left, and it's 90% that I personally have seen in videos, white people trying to stop ICE from doing their job and securing our country to make it sure that America is taken care of first. Putting people in motels during during the pandemic, and putting these people that come into our country illegally when we have thousands and thousands of veterans and of our own homeless people living on the streets that doesn't get a payday, doesn't get a free phone, doesn't get a motel room, and they expect us to accept that. It doesn't make sense, and I see it all over. I see it in the UK, and the people need to get band together and just not stand for it. Putting migrants in motels and leaving our people on the streets. It's not right. Another thing I wanted to do is I want to remember Charlie Kirk. He was a man who was unwavering commitment to truth, freedom, and the preservation of the values that made this country great. He touched countless lives. To say that Charlie was just the voice of a political arena would be an understatement. He was actually a movement. He was an inspiration to us, and he was to so many of us a beacon of hope in an increasingly polarized world. As a fan, I am honored to speak on behalf of the many individuals who loved Charlie and who transformed with passion his clarity and his tireless work for what he believed in. But more than just the message he spread, it was who he was that made him stand out. Charlie was a man of principle, a man who knew what he stood for and never wavered. He wasn't just talking about conservative values, he was living them. Every day in the world he spoke Everywhere in the world he spoke, in the battle he fought, and the hope he gave us, Charlie was a walking example of dedication to his cause and to all who followed him. Charlie was a champion of the young, a passionate advocate for our generation. He understood that the next generation would inherit the future, and he wanted to make sure it was one rooted in freedom and opportunity and in value that have long been the backbone of the American dream. He didn't just talk about these things, he worked tirelessly to spread them, whether through his leadership at Turning Point USA, his books, his speeches, or his constant presence on social media. Charlie made sure that young people, especially those who felt overlooked or misunderstood, had a voice. He taught us how to think critically, how to engage with our words, and above all, how to never back down from standing for what is right. But Charlie was more than just a political figure to many. He was a friend. He had never met a person, but whose words felt like a personal conversation. He was the guy who made us feel like we weren't alone, like we weren't crazy for believing in the values we hold dear, like we weren't the only ones who believe that the West, its ideas of liberty, individual rights, and free market deserve to be preserved and defended. In a world that often seemed determined of those values, who turned those values down, Charlie was a voice of reason, and his message resonated deeply with us because he spoke with authenticity, with love for his country, and with an unwavering belief that we could make a difference. He was also a very faithful and loving, God fearing man, and that I cherish most of all. Charlie never saw his role as simply arguing for what he believed in. He saw it as educating, empowering, and above all, serving. He was never too busy to answer questions, never too tired to take a stand, and never too delusioned to continue fighting for the ideals that inspired him in the first place. He had a way of reaching people, especially young people, that few others could. He didn't preach to the choir. He reached out to those who were uncertain, those who felt lost, and he gave them direction. He reminded us that our voice matters, that we were not powerless, and that no matter how great the challenges we face, or it may seem, we have the strength to rise above them. To those of us who followed Charlie over the years, he was a mentor with ever being asked to be one. His lessons weren't just academic, they were deeply human. He taught us the value of courage, of sticking to our principles even when it was hard, or fighting not just for our own future, but the future of everyone around you. He showed us that change doesn't come from complacency, it comes from courage, from action, from standing firm for what is right, even the world tells you it's not. But perhaps in more than anything, Charlie showed us the power of love. Love for country, love for freedom, love for our fellow citizens, and love for the principles that made the West a beacon of hope for so many around the world. He didn't speak with hate. He didn't speak not only with love and passion for a better future, he spoke for all of us. It's this love that will continue to echo in our hearts long after today. As we remember Charlie today, let us also commit to carrying the torch he lit. Let us continue to fight for the values he held dear. Let us stand for the freedom. Let us stand up for truth, and let us stand up for each other. As Charlie always said, for us, we can honor his legacy not just by remembering the man he was, but to embody the spirit he inspired in all of us. The spirit of courage, passion, and love for a greater good. Charlie, I want to thank you. Thank you for your unwavering belief in us. Thank you for being a guide, a mentor, and a friend. Thank you for lighting the path forward, showing us that we have the power to make a difference. Your legacy will live on every person whose life you touched, and every moment you sparked, and in every future you helped shape. I also want to thank and send my condolences to Erica Kirk and the family, and his mom and dad, and anyone else, friends, family. My condolences and wishes to you in your time of need. Thank you.